Morning. It is Monday in the nation's capital. All right to the news. May Day. Today's May 1st, so it's May Day. So there'll be some celebrations in the the former Soviet bloc era. I guess there's some things in Russia, probably North Korea. Kind of areas where we're still seeing socialism, communism thrive. There'll be the traditional probably military marches, armaments and things like that. But also now there'll be a lot of May Day protests around the country to protest President Trump and his policies. So this is becoming a big political football here. This is also known as International Workers' Day. They won't be talking about the workers, believe me. The demonstrators that we'll see here, it's going to be focused strictly on President Trump and immigration policy and all these kinds of things that liberals hate, and so we'll see how that goes. But nevertheless, this is nothing but just a bunch of lefties who've got nothing better to do, and yet to have another protest. There had been a protest on Saturday, the march, the climate march, People's Climate March, and I don't know if anybody kept record, but I know there were a lot of people who flew into town with a big carbon footprint to participate in that. So there's always a little bit of a hypocritical angle when people are doing these climate things, but the way they get there is that they drive their gas-guzzling cars or get onto to airplanes, and they definitely don't come in with a carbon-neutral footprint for these types of events. So anyway, you'll see plenty of news, I think, about those situations. Venezuela, President Maduro has increased the minimum wage 60%. What is that going to do? Basically nothing. Inflation's running at 720%. It's expected to surpass 2,000% next year. They are in a full-blown economic crisis, and they don't know how to get out of it. Maduro is doing everything he can to retain power, but now even the citizenry of Venezuela is beginning to wonder what they got themselves into under the Chavez-Maduro regimes, and knowing that their lives are really no better than they were before, that they're probably far worse, and that the efforts by Maduro to stamp out the opposition is also stamping out their citizens' freedoms, and I think a lot of them are now finally realizing what this is what it means. Congress, Senate reached a spending bill agreement. This makes the Democrats especially happy. If you look at this bill, at least on the surface, there's some more money for border security, there's some more money for defense, but the budget cuts that President Trump wanted are not going to occur, at least not on this round. Government's funded until September 30th, avoiding a shutdown, which no one really wanted. At least the Republicans didn't want it from an optics standpoint, because they never stand up for anything and they lose that PR battle every single time. So we've got a lot of spineless politicians. Yes, I've said it. But anyway, so they've funded it till then. Yeah, so in essence, nothing's changed, and don't expect it to change yet. Republicans they're just punting, in a lot of these cases. Other things, Joe Biden giving a speech, starting up rumors that he's going to run in 2020. He's denied that, but he readily admits that the Democratic Party, the Democrats, are not united enough, and they don't have a real leader of the party at this standpoint. If you're thinking about the DNC chairman, Tom Perez, he's been great for stoking up the liberals, but he's not expanding their base at all, and he's been very potty-mouthed about the whole thing. So he's kind of the crude DNC chair that's not going to win over a lot of people if he keeps this up. Also, Congresswoman Elena Ross-Lehtinen out of Florida announced that she's not going to run for election in 2018. This opens up her seat, likely to go to a Democrat at this point, unless the Republicans find a moderate to run for a seat that can attract the Lehtinen voters. Hillary Clinton carried this district by 20 percentage points. So on paper, it does not look good. That doesn't mean it cannot be retained, but Republicans may look at this if they don't find a top-notch candidate to run. They may sacrifice that seat, hoping that they retain others. So it was probably bound to happen sooner or later, I guess. President Trump, instead of going to the White House Correspondents' Rally on Saturday, held his own rally in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. That seemed to go off pretty well, and that was coming the day after Trump spoke at the National Rifle Association meeting in Atlanta, Georgia, and was very well received there. Long lines, lots of security, and they started late for the second year in a row because of Trump's appearance and heavy security. But what are you going to do? The president is the president at this point. People want to see him. They're willing to pay to see him, and the NRA and the Secret Service probably did their best to try to get as many people through as they possibly could. So I saw some report about, there are no weapons going to be allowed during Trump's speech. Well, hello, it's the President of the United States. Why do you want anybody, even NRA members, to be carrying guns into a hole? Any number of things can go wrong in this case, and the idea here is to prevent things like that from happening, so you do the best you can. Members don't complain, NRA members don't complain about having to leave their guns elsewhere or lock them up, whatever, particularly during a time when the president's speaking, and they can always go retrieve them later and deal with that later. So anyway, we have lots of news, lots of things going on. I'll be busy the rest of the day with my mother's funeral. She passed away at 97 last week, and my wife's aunt's funeral, who passed away, and she was around, I think she was 80, and she died of cancer. So we have kind of that double whammy coming to us today, but we're going to be fine, I think. I appreciate that, those that have expressed their love and concern for our family, and watch probably won't be until Wednesday-ish, but we'll be recording the Caves Corner podcast today, and then try to get it up here on YouTube by Wednesday. All right, have a great day. We'll see you again tomorrow.